Leaving Cert History students, let's chat about one of the Northern Ireland case studies, which is the Apprentice Boys of Derry. So first off, commemorating the past is incredibly important to the cultural identity of many Protestants in Northern Ireland. The War of the Three Kings from 1688 to 91 is an important focal point for many of these commemorations. So during this war, the Protestant William of Orange defeated his father-in-law, who was a Catholic called King James II. And the third king comes in with King James being assisted by King Louis XIV of France. To keep the memory of many of these historical victories alive, three Protestant loyal orders were established. So we have the Orange Order, the Royal Black Institution, and the Apprentice Boys of Derry. The Apprentice Boys of Derry was established in 1813, and they commemorate the Protestant victory during the Siege of Derry, which lasted from 1688 to 89. So during the Siege of Derry, Protestant refugees from all over Ulster fled to Derry. Catholic forces under King James II arrived outside the walls of the city. When the governor, a guy called Colonel Robert Lundy, wished to surrender, 13 apprentice boys defied him and closed the gates of the city in the face of the advancing Catholic army. Lundy's replacement, a guy called Reverend George Walker, became a hero of the siege. After 105 days of being under siege, and this included gunshots, cannonballs, hunger and disease, the siege was broken by the arrival of relief ships from Britain. Ever since, Protestants across Northern Ireland have drawn inspiration from this story of not surrendering, not giving in, not giving up. So to begin with, commemoration of this siege was informal, and that was until the first Apprentice Boys Club was formed in Dublin by 14 Derrymen on the 7th of December 1813. Shortly afterwards, a club was formed in Derry. In 1856, a general committee of the Apprentice Boys was formed to coordinate these siege celebrations. And these celebrations took place each year around the 18th of December and the 12th of August. Now, from a Leaving Cert history point of view, everything that we have just discussed over the last 2.5 minutes is essentially background information. It is outside the time frame of your case study, so just keep that in mind if you are writing about the Apprentice Boys. After partition and the creation of Northern Ireland in 1921, Derry/Londonderry became the second largest city in Northern Ireland. However, the Protestant population felt far from secure. There had been strong nationalist pressure to have Derry included in the southern 26 counties because of its Catholic majority. Local Protestants in Derry/Londonderry welcomed Apprentice Boys celebrations when other Protestants from all over Northern Ireland came to the city to join them in recalling a Protestant victory over a Catholic king. For the majority of the Catholic community in Derry, the annual march, however, was a source of provocation. A statue of Governor Walker was placed in a column overlooking the largely nationalist Bogside area of Derry. As Apprentice Boys marched along sections of the walls overlooking nationalist areas, they frequently exchanged insults with local inhabitants, but things got much worse during the 1960s. In the summer of 1969, Derry was in a highly tense state. Ever since the police had baton-charged marchers during a civil rights march in August of 1968, relations between Protestant and Catholic communities had deteriorated. The Prime Minister of Northern Ireland, James Chichester Clark, refused to ban the Apprentice Boys March. Efforts were made at a local level to persuade the organisers to call it off. It was clear that conflict would erupt between marchers and local Catholics, as well as inhabitants of the Bogside and the RUC. And this eventually did happen, and it became known as the Battle of the Bogside. The Battle of the Bogside is seen by many people as being kind of the real start of the Troubles, and that happened kind of during or following an Apprentice Boys March. It led immediately to the deployment of British troops to Northern Ireland, and this radically altered the political situation and paved the way for direct rule in Northern Ireland. The Apprentice Boys had a turbulent history during the Troubles. During 1970 to 71, there was a ban imposed on Apprentice Boys marches. Between 72 to 74, parades were restricted to the Protestant Waterside district. In 1973, the IRA blew up the Walker Monument. The Apprentice Boys were not allowed to march around the city walls again until 1995. The Apprentice Boys found themselves in conflict with local nationalist residents over the right to march. Feeder parades were also a source of conflict. And this refers to groups of apprentice boys marching in various parts of the province before travelling to the main parade in Derry. The British government appointed a parades commission to adjudicate on contentious marches. The Apprentice Boys reached a compromise in the late 1990s, but the Orange Order still has not accepted the need to compromise on their marches. Many loyalists feel their culture is being diminished. In 1989, special celebrations were held to mark the tercentenary of the siege. Some of the events were organised by Derry City Council, who believed the siege and the relief of that siege were part of the heritage of all citizens of Derry/Londonderry. At a time when many Protestants in Northern Ireland felt insecure facing the challenge of conceding equality to their Catholic counterparts, the memory of past victories was a point of pride to a lot of them.